set. Pre-rolling.
Welcome to New Day. Welcome to New Day. I'm Saralyn Davis. Welcome to New Day. I'm Saralyn Davis, and today our guest is Miss Marion Hitt, the Director of the Department of Family and Children's Services. Welcome to New Day. I'm Saralyn Davis. There is a very, very, very special show that I have wanted to do on New Day since I very first started doing New Day. What I'd like to do is first show you this set. So if this camera will back up and give you a shot of our set. Many people have asked, where in the world do you set up? Well, we set up right where the preacher's podium is. We take it down and these panels go up. And let me tell you, this is a lot of work. We film every other Thursday night. We do 2 shows, and we have volunteers who come in to do literally everything. There are a lot of people involved with this, and I'm so anxious for you to meet them. First, I would like to introduce you to our brand new director, Al Newton. Welcome.
Hi, Saralyn.
Now, Al, tell folks exactly what you do as director.
Well, my job as director is to do just a little bit of everything.
That's right.
I set up interviews, make the initial contacts with the people who are the guests for the shows. I coordinate our camera people, making sure we have camera people here to run cameras, making sure that our technical director and our sound engineer up there are always going to be here to do things that we need. Get with you every now and then and tell you, I said, now these are the people that are going to be on the show, so you can meet with them a little bit in advance. And then while we're taping the show, I try to make sure things go smoothly, even though they don't always go that way.
All right. And then another thing you do that I know is very important is Al has a vision for the television ministry and New Day particularly and where it's headed, and we appreciate that.
That's right, Sarah. Personally, I look out at the community of Statesboro, and I think that through the New Day program, we need to let people know that our guests on New Day, first of all, they have to be Christians. And those Christians are the same people that you meet day in and day out. They may be your next door neighbor. They may be the people that you work with. But these are the people that are out in the community that you are always seeing, and they show their Christian ideals in everything they do. That's my vision, is to let everybody in Statesboro know that Christians are abounding in Statesboro, and they're working with us every day, everywhere we are.
All right, they're alive and well.
That's right.
Okay, now there are so many, it takes so many people to put New Day on, doesn't it?
It really does. Our New Day program consists of usually 3 camera operators. We have a sound technician who is also the chief engineer. And I believe if we can get a shot of Rick up there, Rick Hutchison is our chief engineer. He takes care of all of our sound equipment, making sure that you can hear us when we're talking, taking care of the microphones. Rick's also in charge of the lighting for the show. He takes care of the lights that are all up above us, making sure we've got plenty of light so everybody can see what's going on. Also with Rick, we have our technical director, who is Tom Kane. Tom is up in the booth up there as well. This booth is located, for those who don't know, up in the balcony here at First Baptist. And Tom is the one that sits there in front of this great big switcher board. He has about 15 camera screens in front of him, and he's looking at all of these screens and trying to decide which picture he wants to put out for you to see on our New Day program.
All right, and he's very good too, isn't he?
He's excellent. He has to be at least 3 or 4 minutes ahead of what's going on in his thinking, just to make this show come out right.
That's right. Okay, and who else do we have up there in the balcony?
Well, also up there in the balcony tonight, when you see New Day, we have Virgil Hicks that's up there in the middle in the balcony. When you see a New Day show coming on the air on Thursday nights at 8:30, Virgil is the one that comes in and does all of our replays for us. He comes in on Thursday night. He takes a couple of hours of his time. He replays our Sunday morning service. He also does the Southern Connection for Georgia Southern College and replays our New Day program then at 8:30 every Thursday night. We appreciate the work that Virgil does in doing that.
All right, we sure do. And plus, I might add, he does sound quite often, too, when he's needed.
He sure does. Virgil is kind of a jack of all trades. He does a little bit of everything for us. Anytime we need something done, call Virgil because he never says no.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, now, what about our cameraman?
Well, normally when we do a New Day program, we have 3 different cameras set up to give you different angles of the set from where we are. Back in the back on camera 3 tonight, we have Dale Lanier. Dale is one of our cameramen that's been working with the New Day program probably since its inception. Dale, step out back there. Let them see your smiling face there. Dale has been with the program for quite a long time. But Dale is always a faithful one that we can call on and say, come on, Dale, we need somebody else to run a camera tonight, and Dale's going to be there.
All right. And I know tonight on this particular program, we have a brand new cameraman with us, don't we?
We sure do. We've got a new guy that's working with us. He's only been with us about 3 weeks now. Trip McElhaney's over there. And I think you wanted to go over, didn't you, and talk to Trip for just a minute?
Okay. I want y'all to meet Trip. We are just so proud of him. Okay, this is Trip McElhaney. As a matter of fact, his mother is my Sunday school teacher. Trip, what grade are you in?
I'm in 9th grade.
All right, Trip's in 9th grade, and he is doing an excellent job with the cameras. Do you know how many programs you've done now?
Probably about 4 or 5.
4 or 5 programs. Do you like it?
Yes, Mom.
You gonna stay with us?
Yes, Mom.
Okay, God bless you. All right, Trip McElhaney. Now I'd like for you to meet someone that's very, very special to the TV ministry. And I might add that his official title is Chairman of Communications, but he really does everything and anything that you ask him. I'd like for you to meet Rod Neville. Hi, Rod.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Listen, I know as head of the Communications Committee that you have a vision for TV ministry. First, I'd like to ask you, why do you think television and, let's say, radio too, are important to the ministry?
I think Christians today need to use every means that we can and have available to us. God has given us the ability to know how to use equipment like this, to develop it, to make this kind of operation work. And we need to use every tool that He's used or He's given us to help spread the gospel. And one of the ways we can do this is through television. And we've been very fortunate here at First Baptist Church to have a very forward-looking church that's provided us with, I think, an outstanding amount of equipment and programming expertise that enable us to reach people that otherwise might not ever get to come to church, never, might not ever have the exposure that we're able to give them through television and through radio.
I think that is so important. I'm so glad you mentioned that. There's so many people that we could introduce, and that would be everyone who contributes to the television ministry within First Baptist Church, and that's our church, and we're very proud of them, and they are far-seeing.
I remember the first experience I had with television and church work. I was living in a little town of Mexico, Missouri, and we had just one black and white camera that we took and filmed the church service from the balcony, recorded it, and then picked it up and carried it out to nursing homes that afternoon so people that were unable to come to church could see what was going on in their church. And, people don't realize, how important that is to people that are unable to get out and attend the church that they're used to going to. And this made it available to them. And here now we have, capability here in Statesboro to have a live church service presented to people, where they're sick at home, where they can't come to church, where they're just not in the habit of coming to church. Maybe they'll just accidentally turn the right channel on, turn channel 18 on and see. And we never know how it's going to affect people. Your experience has been, I know, in many, many times that people have stopped you and told you about the blessing that New Day has been to them. That's the kind of thing that we're trying to help reach. If we can reach one extra person and show them the God's plan of salvation, it makes all the expense and all the effort that we all do worthwhile.
It sure does. And I have to go back to what you said earlier. I think about the shut-ins. They are so important to our ministry, the people who can't get out. And there's so many. And we usually think of them as the aged, but of course it's not always the aged. There are many people with many different problems, many levels of problems, who for some reason can't make it in, but yet they can still worship within their community. We're aware that there are many people on television, but it's very exciting when you see the pastor of your church on television and you see him worshiping with your neighbors, and it does make you feel like a part of the church, even though you still can't be there.
Just recently, my wife and I went to having 2 new babies, and for several weeks, Karen was unable to physically come to the church, and yet she could participate in the worship of her own church, through television. It's something that was not possible a few years ago, and I think it's a real blessing that we need to use it in the right way.
Now, what do you see in the future for this type of ministry?
I think there's some real exciting things, some exciting possibilities that are on the horizon for the television ministry, for the media ministry, especially in this church. I think that the church has given us the tools to work with. Some of the things that we'd like to see come about in the media ministry, as we call it, are a pastor study program where we might be able to get pastors from various churches in the community together to talk about the differences between the Catholic Church, the Baptist Church, the Methodist Church, the Episcopal Church. Why are there different denominations and what are available? And also to allow people to either write in or call in questions that they might have about religion, about their own salvation, about a variety of different things, and enable them to have a conversation with somebody in a very knowledgeable position to answer those kind of questions. Another thing that we would like to plan to have, one church we know of recently did a local drama that took the life of a young girl that developed cancer and how her church ministered to her. And they made a 1-hour documentary of this girl's, the problems she developed and how her church reached her. And they put it on regular pay television. And in a 1-hour time slot on a Saturday evening, reached about 250,000 people. And it's a church much smaller than this church. And that's the only television program they did that one program once a year. So we'd like to see some things like that happen. I think that there's some exciting possibilities available. One of the things we'd like to see happen is some Bible studies done where people could participate. We've talked about doing some programs on Christian financial principles, how Christians should approach money, and how we might deal with people in families that are terminally ill, how Christians can react to teenage problems between teenagers and parents. There are a lot of very excellent people in this community with a lot of good ideas that need to be spread around the community, and this is a wonderful media through the ACTS television network to do that. Okay,
I agree. So one thing you're saying is really we've got a long way to go. We can still do some very innovative, creative things to educate people spiritually and to help out with good ideas.
That's very much so. I think we're just at the very beginning of what the television ministry in Statesboro and Brooklet, because the cable reaches Brooklet, can do. And we're hoping to involve a lot more people in our own church, a lot more people in other churches, because we're all after the same goal, and that's to win people for Christ.
Now, that was very important what you just said. If someone was interested in working with New Day, they wouldn't particularly have to be from First Baptist Church, would they?
No. Well, we're not. We don't have a stranglehold on the jobs here, and we're glad to use people. We're in the process right now of planning some training programs for people that want to learn how to do camera operation, how to do editing, how to do switching, how to do special effects, and use character generators and things that can be, they can use talents in different ways.
And then we have some non-technical opportunities for people who want to help too.
We've even discussed, and I hope that we might be able to do, is to do a local news program of the happenings going on in Statesboro, to be able to show people what the third grade class did last week in their program, to broadcast it so grandparents and parents that had to be at work can happen to see what their children did. If we had an important event going on in town, to cover that. In the past, we have covered a couple of different parades in town. We've tried to do a little bit of that, but as we get more experience, we're able to do that better, and I think we'll have more community support and be able to do some of those things, like the football games we broadcast last year. We want to do more of that. We'd like to even, maybe broadcast some of the Georgia Southern games, some of the basketball games. So people, especially away games where people don't have the opportunity to participate in other ways, television is meant to let people participate in things they couldn't do otherwise.
All right, those are excellent ideas, and I know that you're also interested in having people call you and call us and let us know what they want.
Well, one of the real problems that any TV ministry has is knowing. Everybody comes up and says, "Well, how do you know if anybody's watching?" Well, you don't unless people tell you. And I know you have a lot of contact, because I was one time sitting in Warren Field's office, and when you came in and somebody came in the church and told you how much they enjoyed New Day, but that didn't happen to the rest of us because nobody else knows that we're involved. But we do appreciate people calling or writing little notes or something and telling them, that they do appreciate the program, whether it's a worship service or the New Day program. So, we can say, hey, we are reaching people.
And we're interested in meeting needs, and so it's important that we know what the needs are.
That's right. And I think that the only way we do that is with communication. That's one nice thing about the way this committee is set up, is it's called a communication committee for all kinds of communication. And that's, it's for the church to communicate with the community.
All right, now, real quick, could you tell us who's on that committee with you?
Oh, I wish you wouldn't ask things like that. You are, and let's see, Wanda Lee, and Gilbert Groover, and of course Tom Kane and Rick Hutchison are, and Sonny Riggs, and who's the other one? Dale Lanier, and myself. I think that's all. Bob Trapnell was, but he moved out of town.
Okay, we lose a few here and there. All right, thank you so much, Rod. How about this? Through the magic of television, I've changed my clothes. Well, really, I haven't. Actually, it's been a week since you saw me just a moment ago. That's right, because I want to introduce you to some of the other crew. See, we don't use the same crew for every show. We have to give them a rest here and there. For instance, last week we filmed on Tuesday night, and this week we're filming on Tuesday night. And now I'd like to introduce you to a very special cameraman, Bo Hendricks. All right, Bo, how long have you been with the television ministry?
About 6 months.
Okay, you really enjoying it? Step out here so we can get a picture of you. About 6 months.
Yeah.
Is it hard?
Not really. The camera does most of the work. It's computerized.
It's computerized. A lot of people look at these cameras and say, well, gosh, I would love to work with the television ministry, but I don't think I could handle a camera. Would you say that yes, you can?
Average person can. It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
A couple of minor adjustments.
Okay. We appreciate you so much working with us, Bo. I know that you leave your family to come here on the nights that we film. Why do you do that? Why do you feel compelled to do that?
Well, it's just one way I can serve,
We love you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. And now I'd like for you to meet another cameraman who's very, very special. I've known him for the longest time, and I just love him to death, and he's going to be a big Marine one day. I want you to meet Brian Schumann. All right. Hi, Brian.
Hi, how are you doing, Sarah?
Oh, just fine. Brian, how long have you been with the TV ministry?
I've been in TV ministry for maybe 2.5 years now. So I've been in it for a while. I've been in it since I was about 15. So.
Okay, and how old are you now?
I'm 17. I'll be 18 pretty soon, a couple of days. So.
All right, and we'll just share this little tidbit of news with you. Brian came to work tonight, and he said, I finished some papers today. Tell us what you did today.
I finished up my paperwork to go in the Marine Reserves, and I'll be leaving to go to boot camp June the 11th. So I'll come back a Marine.
Okay, that's Brian Schumann. We love him so much. We're now in our 3rd week of the cruise show, and this is the finale, and it's only proper that we end with our executive producer, Dr. William Perry.
Hi.
Welcome. You know, this is so amazing because I can't help but think you were on the very first show of New Day.
That's right. That's right. Real excited then and have continued to be excited about New Day.
Dr. Perry, tell me, what was the vision for New Day when it was first established about 1.5 years ago now?
That's right. Well, let me tell you how New Day really got started. When we were first negotiating with the cable company here in Statesboro to let us have a channel for Acts and for First Baptist Church, we decided that one of the things that might help them realize that we really meant business about providing something good for the people of Statesboro is that we would do a special show weekly for Statesboro about Statesborians. And so we sort of made a commitment to them that we would have local programming. And then we began to dream about what can we do. And we thought it would be real good to have a talk show type interview show. I don't remember who came up with the name New Day, but we began to think in terms of providing just some wholesome interviews and help people know more about Statesboro.
Now, the key word there, of course, is local, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. Of course, let me say, too, that everything we do, ultimately, we do to bring honor to Christ and to proclaim the gospel. And while not in every segment of every show is it strictly evangelical Christian, nonetheless, our function and our purpose and what you do toward the end and what we do ultimately all through here is to bring honor to Christ. So that's our number one thing, but we also want to elevate the type of living in the community to inform people of what's going on.
Okay. I would love for you to reminisce with me for a minute about people who have been involved with New Day.
Sure.
For instance, I mentioned the first show. Well, Carla Andrews Collins was the first MC.
Yes, yes.
For New Day.
Right, and of course later she married our minister of youth and they moved away. And we were delighted to have an equally capable hostess in you that the Lord led us to. But Carla was the very beginning for our hostess.
So that was like a pioneer in this. That's so exciting. Yeah. Now, a lot of planning went into this prior to the first New Day show.
Oh, yes, it did.
I know the director at that time, who's no longer with us, was Mike Edmondson.
Mike Edmondson, yes, and did such a good job. And of course, Warren Fields, our minister of music, had a lot to do with the inception of New Day and contributed a great deal.
That's right.
Gracious.
Warren's in Atlanta now, and
That's
Mike's
right.
in Waycross now. He graduated.
Yes.
All right. We've had so many good people to work with us, and Wanda Lee.
Right.
You mentioned her. She was director for quite a while and did an excellent job. And
that's true.
Of course, she's
having a baby now.
Having a baby.
She's...
We let her off on that excuse. Yeah. And I'd also like to mention, and it's awfully sad, but Frank Dixon.
Right. Frank came to our church several years ago. He had been a Georgia Southern student, of course, grew up in Swainsboro, and several times during invitation time would come and would talk to me about what the Lord was leading him to do. And one of the things then he did one Sunday was to come and make himself available to our television ministry. So he became one of our cameramen. And of course, as you know, last month then was murdered in Swainsboro. It's been a very sad thing for all of our crew and our church, and of course for his family and friends. But yes, Frank was important to our ministry.
Very important. Oh, such a beautiful spirit.
Yeah.
And we'd have to mention Bob Trapnell.
Yes.
Who was very helpful in the establishment of this and kept it going.
Chairman of our communications committee and now in Columbus.
That's right.
You know, it really goes to show us that a ministry like this does not revolve around one person. If it did, if it was just one person and that one person made it go, then what would have happened if that one person had been one of these we've spoken of? It's bigger than any one of us.
It really is.
And the Lord has a way of supplying the personnel that we need. And we're in such a mobile society that people do come and go. I'm just so grateful for the folks that come and say, the Lord wants me to help in this ministry or whatever. And whether they're here 2 months or 20 years, they give themselves to the task of ministry. That's so exciting.
It really is.
This church seems to have so many that are willing to serve, and I'm grateful to God for that.
I am too. This is a blessed ministry. I'd also like to mention Howard Neesmith. He could not be here for these tapings because...
Deputy Sheriff now.
There you go.
Night work,
Night work. And we have a camera lady, Sue Lanier, who works with us on Sundays.
Yes.
And Keith Barrett. Keith Barrett has a lot of jobs. He's a cameraman and he's foreman of the set. He does a lot, and he also puts the New Day shows on bright and early Monday morning, so he has to get up at the crack of dawn to be down here. So there are just so many people involved. Now, we've met everybody or mentioned everybody thus far. I hope we hadn't left someone out.
I don't think of anybody. Of course, if I thought of somebody we'd left out, we wouldn't leave them out. We'd mention them. But I do want to say this about the entire crew. This is one of the ministries of our church that is blessed with dedicated Christian people who are committed to it. And I don't know if the people who watch New Day know how much goes into the filming of it and the kind of time people spend. I mean, we're talking about hours upon hours a week. They do it, they're behind the scenes, get very little credit for it, but they just do it because they have the ability and they're committed to Christ for doing it. And that's such a blessing.
Somewhere they can
I appreciate
serve the
what
Lord.
you do, too.
Well, thank you. I tell you, somebody said something to me one day about it, and I said, you know, I have been so blessed because look at all the wonderful, charming people that I have met that I never would have had the opportunity to meet. And what's so lovely is that everyone in Statesboro can meet them with me.
That's true.
And that's
good.
very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the opportunity as well. Would you like to share any story with us or anything that you can think of on your ministry, the Sunday morning ministry, where you've gotten feedback? I know you see that it's meeting a need.
Of course, as you know, in addition to New Day, there's several other things that originate here. Well, from right here, in fact, the pulpit usually, as you already know from seeing earlier in the show, it fits right here, and we televise our morning worship service and then re-televise that on Thursday night, and then our Sunday evening service. And everywhere I go, there are people who recognize me as the pastor of this church through our television ministry, and I'm stopped so much in hospitals and nursing homes and on the streets and stores. Got my car worked on, and the fellow recognized me the other day, and we stopped and talked about the Lord. And they're just so many people apparently who are blessed through our television ministry. And some of these folks that you've introduced tonight that are behind the scenes have worked back when it was kind of like, you know, pliers and baling wires, about the only equipment we had, and they were just so instrumental in getting us started. And I thank God for that and for the ministry that we can have in Bullock County through our television ministry.
We do have a church with vision, don't we?
I think so.
Praise God.
We're not doing all that we ought to do, but the Lord is leading us, and we're at times just moving along as He leads us, and it's exciting.
It really is. Dr. Perry, thank you so much for being with us.
I appreciate the opportunity.
We love you.
God bless you as you continue this ministry.
And we'll see you next week on New Day.